Anya. Thank you, Culture Connect, for having me in this event. And I'm so glad to be in this panel along with so esteemed speakers. So, being the last speaker has one disadvantage that there is constraint of time, but there is a huge advantage that many of the speakers might have already covered many of the points. So we will quickly start with our presentation. And okay, so I can see many familiar faces in the crowds. There are some of my students, some of the people from Indology background. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the dots between Ayurveda, stories, and mental health. There is a small disclaimer. Being academician and healthcare practitioner, I have to just make this disclaimer that I'm not going to talk about the entire healthcare, entire mental health in particular, because that is a huge area to talk about. I'm not talking about entire Ayurveda as well, but I'm taking out few threads and trying to connect them together in this session. So as Swati told already, you heard about the terms Sattva, Raja, and Tamas. So actually, Swati, thank you for mentioning some of those terms, because I don't have to mention all those terms again. So again, still Sattva is considered as guna, or the attribute of mana, whereas Raja and Tamas are considered as doshas. Now, what are these Sattva, Raja, and Tama? Sattva is the positivity, that state of mind when we feel completely positive and creative. है ना, वो आता है आज कुछ तूफानी करते हैं. So that thought itself, let's do something, that is sattva. Okay, तूफानी बाद में करेंगे, लेकिन ये जो thought है ना, that movement itself is sattva guna. And when you actually get that, you move ahead with that feeling and convert it into action, that is rajas. When there is rajas, you will have the motion. So here you can see rajas in form of motion. And next is tamas. Tamas is shown as darkness, absence of everything. So as shown before, sattva, rajas, tamas are already there within ourselves, part of our mind. But as long as sattva is more, it is good for us. The moment when raja increases more than sattva, or tamas increases more than sattva, then it is a problematic situation. So more of a rajasic bhav, it is somewhat leading us to the anxiety. And more of tamasic bhav, doing nothing, that feeling of I'm fed up of everything, that takes us to depression. Now, if you ask me, sattva, raja, tama, do, guna, and dosha, we require all these three factors in balance. So it's like, I always share this example with my students that it's like driving a car, where sattva is the clutch, raja is the accelerator, and tama is the brake. So when you wake up in the morning, you need that positivity to start your day. Let's start working. Then you have to go ahead with the rajasic guna, complete your day, execute all the activities, and then at night you need the tamasic bhav to take the proper sleep, proper rest. Now this is another car. Actually, this is a classical example used, in yoga and many darshanas to explain where Krishna helps Arjuna come out of the psychological depression, anxiety. So that will be a different discussion, but today we are not going to discuss in that. In Ayurveda, this is one reference, so you can see the reference given below. It is from Ashtanga Hridaya Sutrasthan, first chapter and 26th verse. So here the treatment for mental disorders has been mentioned as Dhi, Dhairya, and Atmadi Jnana. What is Dhi? Dhi is the intellect. Now intellect has many dimensions as per Ayurveda. The moment we perceive something, so you are listening to me right now, so perception is this of this sound, that is the first step. Second, understanding what I'm saying. Third, retaining what you have understood. And fourth is applying what you have already retained. So these are the different aspects of intellect. We need to focus on that as part of the treatment of mental diseases. Second is dhairya. Dhairya is assurance. Whoever is in trouble, you have to give the assurance. You have to make them feel safe. You have to assure them that they can get out of this situation. You have to make them feel comfortable as well as secure. Third, Atmadi Jnana. So what it indicates? Atma Adi. That means soul, mind. Many of us, the biggest problem which was being mentioned by Pallavi as well as by Shipra, that many of us don't know much about it. What is this? What I'm going through? If I know what I'm going through, then I can deal with it more easily. So giving that person that particular knowledge, what is Atma, what is Mana, what is psychology, what is depression. So these are the three perspectives of the treatment mentioned in Ayurveda. So particularly this reference, because we don't have much time to go through all the references and all the details. Now, is it like that, we are experiencing stress for the first time? It was not present before 2020, or rather 100 years back, 1000 years back. No, stress was there, and that's why they are talking about mental health in Ayurveda, right? So it is ancient science, still they are talking about it. Now, how is it possible? If you want to help your friend, so are you going to tell your friend कि बैठ जाओ भाई मैं तुम्हें आत्मा के बारे में बताता हूँ आज, है ना? नहीं, वो तो irritate हो जाएगा, भाई क्या कर रहे हो तुम? So what is the medium to do this treatment? And so I'm going to propose one of the thing over here, that is storytelling. And as Astha ma'am rightly said, भावनाओं को प्रकट करना, जो भावनाएं सामने हैं उससे एक जुड़ जाना और अपने अंदर जो भावनाएं हैं उनको प्रकट करना. तो मैम has suggested that dance is a form for expression. Here what I am saying is storytelling is a way of expressing your thoughts. Okay, so here you can see, so stories also have their stories, why a certain story was prepared. For example, a king wanted his stupid kids to learn something, but he was very fed up, he was not knowing how to teach them, and that's how Panchatantra got created. Okay, Mahabharata has history because certain dharmic dharma, so I don't want to go into the technical terminologies now, because then dharma is not religion but social responsibilities. So to make awareness of social responsibilities, these stories were written. So there is a reasoning. Here you can see teacher with a student. In another picture, you can see cousins sitting together and discussing something. So this was a mode of sharing, your emotions, knowledge with each other through stories. Now, what kind of stories we have? These are the different types of stories that we have. One is mythical. In India, we rather prefer the term Purakatha, that is ancient stories. You will find that in the Rigveda as well as in Puranic literature. Then you have historical stories. In history also, you can see many people, the biographies we read, or autobiographies that we read, we read about the people in history, their stories. Then we have legends, we have folk tales, fairy tales. I know many people who are coming from the background of Indology, they would like me to talk about folk tales and folklores, because folklore performances are also one of the ways where people come together and they perform, and that is a kind of a way, again, that will lead to what Astha ma'am was saying, the people within villages or within one occupation coming together, they are performing folk dances. That is also one of the way to express your emotions. Now that is not part of our lives, and that is perhaps one of the problems. Now this is hero's journey, the hero's journey put forward by Joseph Campbell. I was very fortunate to be associated with Joseph Campbell Foundation for 3 years. I worked with them as a regional coordinator, and this is one of the important factor where Joseph Campbell analyzed all these stories, and he concluded that there is one common pattern of hero's journey, where a hero goes somewhere, there is a challenge put forward to hero chooses that challenge, moves ahead and conquers, and comes again to his original place with the victory. Whenever we are in trouble, there is one question we always ask ourselves: why me? Why is it happening with me, right? What wrong did I do? So in these stories, you will always see एक सीधा साधा बंदा था, अपनी लाइफ जी रहा था, and something happened, right? So Ram was going to be crowned as the prince, and all of a sudden he had to go in forest. So a normal life, something happened, some problem, then they had to leave somewhere and they had to face the consequences. They had to fight and then come ahead. So in that situation, that moment when we are undergoing that anxiety, depression, what we choose to do, to fight or to succumb to the conditions which are being faced. So that's why these stories are a kind of inspiration for all of us. Now, coming ahead, these literary stories always start with the beginning that, once upon a time or long time ago. And there are more stories which are actually related with you and me. And these stories always start like, "Pata hai aaj kya hua?" We in Mumbai, we have this concept of in evening, all of us, all friends catch up somewhere. We used to catch up somewhere, yeah, before COVID-19. We used to catch up somewhere and we used to have discussions. Pata hai aaj kya hua? Otherwise, are aaj to na waat lag gayi. What was that? That was stories. We were sharing our own stories with each other. Now, because of lockdown, we couldn't do that. We are not meeting people. We are maintaining social distance, but are we sharing our stories? In our fields also, there are great people. For example, people within your offices, within your field, who have done the same, who have the same qualification as you can relate with their stories. For example, now I'm following this course in IGNCA, and our course head is Shreyanka Basu ma'am. And there's another course that is in folklore, and the course head is Molly Kaushal ma'am, Dr. Molly Kaushal. So this is an inspirational story, a girl who want to make her name in academic sector. Perhaps these stories can be inspirational for them. So if you want to grow in your field, we can read their stories. We can read the stories of the people who have achieved something in this particular field. Now, this is Dr. William Lin. He's a very good friend of mine, and he actually works in Hollywood as an academician in a filmmaking institute. And it is his perspective, so of course I have to give him credit. So he discussed this concept where, see, hero's journey, what happens is hero crosses the threshold of his house and goes out, or rather threshold of his palace, his village. He goes into forest. It is common in all the places. But in pandemic, what has happened is we have crossed the threshold and came inside. We came inwards. We came inside the homes. So there are two types of heroes we see in these stories. One is adventurous heroes who go and kill the demons. And there are second type of heroes, which are the spiritual heroes, like Gautam Buddha. He's not actually killing anyone, but he goes to journey and gets the enlightenment in sense of spirituality. So here in COVID-19, what has happened is we have crossed the threshold. We have came inside our houses, and rather we have explored more of our mind and more of what we are doing in life and all those things. So that is an interesting perspective by William. So these are the image references, the images where I have used. For more information, you can visit Mythology Classroom on Facebook, where we invite people or academic scholars for different parts of the world. We have some scholars coming from America, like William is there, and some from Russia, and many parts of the India, where they share the stories and what is the analysis of those stories. For Joseph Campbell, more information about hero's journey, you can visit their website. And for William and his theories, you can visit Mythosophia. For what we are looking forward to hear your stories, share more stories with you, give platform to storytellers, conserve the stories, art of storytelling, and provide platform to storytellers. So thank you, everyone. Back to you, Manya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunil. We're extremely glad to have had you as an in-house member and as a speaker both. I sincerely hope that our audience takes back some bits from your vast knowledge. And thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank each one of you here. You've been a great audience.